Hi everyone, and welcome back to your practice. I'm so glad you're here. Today's practice will be a little more directive. I will be linking breath and movement to create a bit of a quicker practice in the Ashtanga vinyasa style. We'll also explore a posture called Dandasana, followed by a posture called Maha Mudra. And I really have to credit my teacher, Patricia Sullivan, who's a colleague of mine on Yoga Anytime, who I've explored this practice with, as well as one of my teachers, Richard Freeman. Maha Mudra can translate to Great Seal. So we'll see how it feels to contain. Potentially you could think about this as energy in the body or contain global tension in the body in a couple of these shapes that we'll practice today. To start, let's explore something called a bandha, which could either be seen as like a valve, which pulls things in and also releases things out, or sometimes it's translated as a lock. And we'll do this by drawing up some of the diaphragms in the body. So you might want a blanket for your practice today, and also it's nice to have a couple of thick blocks in case you like those for the standing shapes. I'm going to start in a seat. So the invitation is to get settled in your comfortable seat and then take a bigger breath in where you lift the whole rib basket up towards the chin. And then pause at the top of the breath. You can even lift your shoulders. And then take a moment to exhale everything out as you're ready. Take a free breath in and out. And if any of the breath holds today create any anxiety for you, take them out. You can explore the movement of the ribs without the breath hold. So again, the invitation will be to lift the chest, breathe in, really elevate, lift the shoulders even, lift the armpits, lift the collarbones. And the top of the breath, if you feel okay to pause your breath, let your chin slide forwards and down. Maybe your chin touches your chest or it hovers above. And you might be breathing in with this gesture of heart and brain coming together, or pausing the breath in a breath hold. If you're holding the breath as you're ready, let your head lift up and exhale, release your shoulders. Let's try that again. So we'll inhale, lift all sides of the chest, almost like there's an air balloon in your chest. And then let your chin slide forwards and down. Either breathe there or pause the breath. Maybe even let your eyes sink down towards your chest. It's like your heart is coming up and your brain is receding in towards your heart. Maybe you let that go, letting the head come up, shoulders relax, exhale everything out. Let's do it one more time, but this time add in a pelvic floor bandha. So this one's called Jalandhara bandha, the heart lifted and the brain coming down, chin to chest. And then the root lock bandha is squeezing and lifting the muscles of the pelvic floor. So again, this is totally optional, but if you'd like to explore it, in the breath hold, see if you can gather the diaphragm of muscles in between your pubic bone, tailbone, and two sit bones together and up. Might even give you a sense of your lower spine gathering and lifting up through the central channel. So let's explore it. So invitation again is to lift the chest on your in-breath. Shoulders might lift, armpits might lift, pause at the top, chin slides forwards and down, and then also draw your awareness down into the floor of your pelvis. If you like, squeeze the muscles together and up. You might even feel a buttressing of support and lift along the two sides of your lower spine. Pause as long as you feel is okay for you, or you might be breathing in this. And as you're ready, let your head lift and exhale. Let the muscles of the pelvic floor go as you let your shoulders relax. So lastly, we might engage another bandha, Uddiyana bandha, where we'll do all of that. I know it's a lot. And then also draw the lower abdomen on the retention if you're exploring that, or maybe on your exhale if you're not, drawing the lower abdomen back and up. So it's encouraging a lift through the rib basket, a lift through the floor of the pelvis, and a drawing back of the contents of the abdomen and up. And perhaps increasing pressure in the abdominal cavity. So let's exhale the breath. And then inhale, lift the chest. Spread the side ribs. Keep inhaling, lift if you like, and then slide the chin forwards and down. It's like the heart is coming up, brain is coming down. Heart is saying welcome, brain is saying thank you. And then maybe you lift the floor of the pelvis and draw the lower abdomen back and up. 3 bandhas. Maybe even press into your hands on your thighs. As you're ready, let your head come up. You might even inhale a little more and exhale everything out. So we'll come back to those in the practice of Maha Mudra. So you can come onto your hands and your knees when you're ready. And as I said, this practice will be a little more directive, but you're the boss of your body. Truly, this is your practice. So create variations, add in things, take them out as you need to. Make it yours. Tuck your toes under, shift forwards and back, warming up through the wrists. You can also move around your hands. Sometimes I like to turn my fingertips out to the side, maybe circle through the shoulders. You might take your fingertips, invert them all the way towards your knees. Keep going with the movements. Warming up your wrists, patting through your hands. You can even turn your fingers in towards each other, maybe even internally move through the shoulders so your fingers roll in towards your knees in the opposite direction. Find your own rhythm. And then you can let your hands face forwards as you're ready. Index fingers face forwards. Tuck your toes. Reach back into downward facing dog and pedal out through your feet. You might add in some freeform movement and connect to your breathing. I might count the breaths today to potentially allow you to sink into a rhythm of breath and movement. But if it causes any anxiety for you to follow my breath count, definitely make it yours. Add in breaths, take them away. Let's walk the feet towards the hands, and 3 times we'll explore inhaling to a halfway lift and exhaling, folding forwards into your forward fold, maybe with a big bend in your knees. Again, inhaling, finding that length, exhaling your forward fold. Again, inhaling into that length. Exhale, hello to the backs of your legs, the grounding of your feet, the connection to the earth. Let's take 3 breaths as you let your head dangle in a forward fold. Optional placement of your hands. They could be on the floor, ragdolling, maybe even behind you, interlocking your fingers. As you feel your feet pressing into the earth, you might acknowledge your connection to the land underneath you. You might acknowledge the stewards of the land, the complex history of the land here, what the land gives you. Letting your hands drop down and then pushing into your heels. Let your hands come out, up as you come up to standing. You could look up and release your hands down by your sides. Inhale, arms out and up for sun salutation. Exhale, could bend your knees, fold forwards over your legs. Inhale, elongate your spine. Exhale, hands down, step or hop back to find your plank, lower to the floor or into a chaturanga. Push your toes back, roll over your toes, come into a cobra or an upward dog. Cobra could be pelvis and belly on the floor. And then as you exhale, lift the abdomen and reach your hips back into downward facing dog, finding 3 breaths. You could inhale here, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Exhale, you could bend your knees here, step or hop, feet to the top of the mat. The inhale brings you to the halfway lift. And as you exhale, you could fold forwards. Pressing into your feet, rising all the way up. You can look up here. Release your hands on the exhalation. Another one like that. Open up your arms. Inhale. As you're ready, exhale and fold. The inhale can bring you into that halfway lift. Exhale, step or hop your way back to find a plank. Maybe the knees are down. Lower to chaturanga or to the floor. Into your cobra on the inhalation or your upward dog. Tuck your chin, roll over your toes, find your downward facing dog. Maybe there's movement, maybe there's stillness. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, step or hop at the bottom of your exhale. Top of the mat, inhale. And as you're ready, forward fold. Come out and up with your arms, reach up, look up maybe, even up and back if you like. Exhale your hands by your sides. Last one like that. Big opening through the arms. And exhale, fold forwards. Press into the feet, find that halfway lift, and make your way back to your plank. Chaturanga or to the floor, shoulders wide. Push into the hands, roll over the toes to up dog or cobra. Tuck the chin, ripple back to your downward facing dog with movement. Maybe you find rest in a child's form or stillness. Two. And 3. On the exhale, bend your knees, step or hop, come forwards. Inhale, lengthen your spine and fold forwards. Push into your feet, rise up. Describing a big circle with your hands. Exhale your hands down by your sides. Invitation to bend your knees here. Shift your weight into your heels. Find chair shape, nice long spine. Exhale and fold forwards. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale your way back to that top of a plank, maybe knees down. Exhale to chaturanga. Roll over your toes, find your cobra or up dog. Tuck your chin, roll back to your downward facing dog. Right foot forwards on the inside of your right hand, back foot on an angle. Inhale, come up to warrior 1. Exhale your way all the way down. So if you need to take an extra breath, an extra movement here, come all the way down to the floor to your chaturanga. Roll over your toes, cobra or up dog. And then tuck your chin, come back into downward facing dog. Left foot forwards, back foot on an angle. Inhale, make your way up, top of warrior 1. Exhale, come all the way down. Take your time. Perhaps you like the speed or you'd like to take it slower. Roll open into the upward dog. As you're ready, up and back to down dog. Movement, rest, or stillness. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1. Breathe in your own breath. Breathe out. 2. Hands and legs pressing into the earth. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bend your knees, step or hop forwards, hips over your hands. Lengthen out, fold in. Finding that chair again if you like. So hips heavy, weight in the heels, rising into chair, and then pushing yourself into mountain shape. Let's do that whole thing again. Bend the knees, inhale into your chair. Take your time to forward fold. Lengthen halfway. Prepare to find your way back to your plank. Maybe the knees come down to chaturanga or the floor. Cobra or upward dog. Tuck chin, ripple back, downward facing dog. Right foot comes forwards, back foot on an angle. Inhale to warrior 1. Exhale all the way down. Might engage your legs here to feed your spine some more length. Tuck your chin and roll back. Left foot forwards, back foot on an angle. Inhale to warrior 1. Exhale all the way back down to the floor, bottom of the push-up or to the floor with the abdomen. As you're ready, upward dog or cobra. Tuck your chin, downward facing dog, finding movement or stillness or a rest. Breathe in. Your own breath. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bend the knees, bottom of the exhalation, step or hop. Top of the mat, lengthen out. Fold in. Your forward fold, your chair. Shift into that bent knee position. Maybe the low ribs come in a little bit to lengthen out. And then push to stand. Separate your feet hip distance, hands on the waist. Inhale, lift the back ribs. Exhale, bend the knees, come into a forward fold where maybe your hands find the floor. You could find your blocks. You could grab your big toes with your peace fingers. Take a breath in to re-lengthen into the halfway lift. And exhale, fold in, tipping the pelvis forwards. Potentially exploring straightening the legs, maybe even lifting up the kneecaps for 1. You could orient to your breath. 2. 3, inhale, lengthen your spine. If it's available, you could take your hands underneath your feet, taking your toes to the wrist creases. Again, breathe in. And breathe out and fold, or potentially you're having your hands on blocks, on the backs of your calves, fingertips on the floor. If your hands are under your feet, you might explore a little bit tipping forwards of your weight into the roots under your toes. 2. 3, inhale that halfway lift, hands find the waist. Exhale, come on up, inhale, and exhale, relax your shoulders. Feet together, take your right foot out to the side, turn your right foot out, your left foot in, come up and over your right hip for triangle. This might call for a block or your hand on your shin. Some folks like to have the fingertips on the floor or even taking a hold of your big toe. Wherever you're at here, can explore hips back. Low ribs might come in, exploring more length through your side body and your low spine. Maybe a connection to both feet too. You could look up, you could look down. 3, look down to come up, push into your bottom foot. You might take your block with you, turn your feet around, come up and over your left hip, and come into triangle on the other side. Your expression, reaching into those more hard to reach places and finding what the shape is trying to tell you today. Could look down, forwards or up. 2, 3, you can push into your feet as you come up. Turn yourself all the way around to your back foot. Pop your back foot in a little, heels or hip distance, and fold forwards, belly button aiming towards the floor. Left hand can go underneath your face or maybe to the outside of your foot. You could be on fingertips here. Right hand can come to your hips. As you lean your hips back, can you rotate your chest? Maybe for some, you take your right arm up and press out through your collarbones. Maybe look up for 2, 3, right hand comes down. You can take your block with you if you choose, all the way around to your front foot. Back foot turns in more like a 45 degree. Fold forwards, belly button to the floor. Hand on the inside or outside of your left foot. Hips move back, chest moves forwards. Rotate if you like. Maybe the top arm comes up. 2, maybe look up, maybe look down. 3, maybe look down here to come out. As you come up, you might take your block with you and step towards the top of the mat. So again, you can take your block with you as you step out, right? Turn into a warrior 2, and either take your elbow to your knee, left arm alongside your ear into extended side angle, or you could take your hand to the block, or even your hand to the floor. You could take your hips back, your low ribs in, and even flip your left palm so that it faces behind you, feeling potentially an external rotation of your upper arm. You could reach your top side body towards straighter. Maybe look up, maybe look down too. Three, let your top arm release, come on up. Turn to warrior 2 towards the left leg. Elbow to knee or hand to the block or hand to the floor. Right arm comes up, out and over, maybe rotating the shoulder so that the outer armpit spins more forwards and the palm spins behind you. Hips back, low ribs in if you like. Explore straightening out that bottom side. 2, your breath. 3, and then up you come. If you like, take your time. Turn all the way around to your back foot. Back foot can be on a pivot, heel lifted. A little more challenging to have it on an angle. Left elbow as you exhale comes across to the outside of your left knee. Here you might take your hands into prayer. You might see if it's possible to take the outer shoulder to the outside of the knee. Maybe your left hand comes onto a block or onto the floor for a T position, or top arm comes alongside your ear, flipping that palm as you did in extended side angle. So one of those options for 2. And 3. Might take your block with you. You can take your time to come all the way around to the front foot. Choose pivot, choose an angle. Exhale to twist the abdomen. Choose elbow or the outer shoulder. Floor or a block. Top arm over. 2. And 3. Weight in the back foot. As you're ready, come up. Step it towards the top of the mat. Step out with your right foot so that your feet are more parallel, hands to the waist. Inhale, lift your side waist. Exhale, fold forwards. Take your hands to the floor. On the inhale, lengthen and look up. And on the exhale, walk your hands back more in line with the arches of your feet and aim your head for the floor. 1. 2. 3. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands to your waist. You might squeeze your shoulder blades together. Push into your feet to bring you all the way up. As you inhale, reach your arms to the sides, and as you're ready, take them behind you. Interlock your fingers and reach your hands up and back behind you. As you exhale, fold forwards, aiming your head for the floor. So if it's hard to grab fingers like this, you could also interlock your forearms or maybe your elbows, or keep some space in between your wrists. Perhaps you're allowing your interlocked hands to fall towards the floor behind you. You could even add in some emphasis to that. How's your connection to your feet here for 2? And 3. Pressing into your heels, come all the way up. Release your arms, step to the top of the mat, and then take your hands behind you again, either clasping your your wrists, your elbows, or maybe even taking a prayer fashion up your back or hands together. And then step with your right foot so that you face the back of your mat. Take a breath in. You can widen your collarbones and maybe press your index fingers together if you have your hands together, and start to fold forwards without the use of your hands. Belly button aiming for the floor in between your feet. So make it yours. You might steer your hips a little left and right, exploring those subtleties, maybe pouring weight into your back foot. You can, by all means, let your hands go and find a different position for your hands if this isn't supportive. Let's exhale into that back foot, and as you're ready, come on up. You might even keep your hands where they are to spin you all the way around to the front. For an inhale and exhale, fold forwards. Choose your shape there, inviting the shape into where your body's at today for 2, 3, and then all the way up. Turn to your right, open up your arms, and step forwards towards the top of the mat. Left foot grounds, right knee up into your hand. Either stay there with your hips moving back a bit, lengthening your spine, or you might take your big toe with your peace fingers, or even take the outside of your foot and start to lengthen your leg out towards straight. So totally optional. A one-legged balance. The invitation could be to fold forwards, hollowing out the abdomen, sort of as we did in the Bandha practice, and letting the chin come towards the shin. You can inhale, come up if you're down like that, and either take your knee or your leg out to the side with your left hand on your pelvis if you like. You could also take your left hand out to the side as a counterbalance. For 2, 3, inhale the leg into the center. You could bow towards the leg or the knee. On the inhale, rise up, hands to the waist. See if you can root your left leg down and lift your right leg a little higher. And then exhale and release your leg. Right foot plants, left knee up, either holding it there or holding your foot up, starting to straighten your leg, bringing it towards straight. You could bow forwards, hollowing out the belly for 2, 3, maybe you come up from there, either taking the knee or the leg out to the side, maybe the arm out to the side, 2. Find your own sense of balance, 3, and then leg or knee into the center, option to bow. Hold hands to waist, ground that bottom foot, maybe lift the left leg a little higher, and then exhale and release it. Either taking your right leg into a figure 4 over top of your left knee and sinking into a hip stretch. You could also use blocks to support your hands. Or for some folks, you might try half lotus, where the sole of the foot flips up by the left groin, the right knee goes down. If you'd like to try to bind, turn towards your right knee, grab a hold of your foot, might surprise yourself, and then maybe fold forwards, left hand to the ground or to a block. Whichever variation you're in, take 2 more breaths, your own breaths. 2. I like to think of finding challenge as more of finding a sense of playfulness than fighting the body or punishing the body. Sometimes those relationships can be there. Pushing into the bottom leg, finding a long spine, coming on up and releasing the right leg. So left ankle might come on top of the knee. You might shift forwards and lower into a hip stretch, maybe using the block. Maybe taking that foot towards a half lotus. If you want to bind, it's a playful movement towards the left to catch, and folding forwards to find a block or maybe the floor with your fingers. So whichever variation you're landing in, 2 more breaths of your own. And imagine your hips leveling out and moving them straight back, and then pushing into your bottom foot to come on up and releasing the left leg. At the top of the mat, let's inhale the arms out and up. Exhale and fold. Lengthen out. And find your plank, maybe to the knees, chaturanga, upward dog or cobra. Tuck the chin back to downward dog. Step or hop into your Utkatasana, which is our crouch posture. And you might see if you can find a little lift handstand or a pike handstand. Maybe try it a couple times. Landing into your feet and reaching your arms up. Sitting back into your heels, lifting those back ribs up, finding the just right amount of challenge for you, the just right amount of fearlessness and effort. You might look up and then push into your feet, fold forwards. Hands find the floor, up and back to your plank, lower, upward dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. Right foot forwards, back foot on an angle for your warrior one. Let's take a breath in and out in warrior one. On the inhale, straighten your right leg, turn to your back leg, sink into that warrior one, turning to the back of the mat. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Open to your warrior two. You might wiggle your back foot so the outer back foot opens up to the back of the mat. Maybe lowering into your front leg. Find that just right amount of effort, of edge, so you can access your own sense of strength and stability. Straighten your left leg, turn to your front leg. Might sink into that. Adjust your hips, the lunge of your front leg. Windmill your left arm over and step back to your plank, to lower, to your upward dog or cobra, to your downward facing dog. Step or hop through to lie down on your back. And from there, with your left leg, toes pointing up, take your right ankle and see if you can slot your right ankle in between, or the Achilles area, in between your big toe and your second toe. And then roll your hips over to the left, so your right hip comes on top of your left. Your hands can be palms facing down or somewhere that's comfortable, maybe even over your head. And maybe you unhook that right leg and you place the top of the right foot on the top of the left knee. You could even hold on to your outer left knee with your left fingers. Maybe reach out through your right arm into more of a twist. Roll it back towards center. Straightening out your legs, you could hold your head and look up. Right toes point up. Left Achilles, back of the ankle might slip in between the big toe and the second toe. Might be a little more challenging if your toes feel sticky. And then roll your left hip over top of your right. Your hands can be wherever you like. Maybe you bend your top knee, grab a hold of that outer left knee and open into a twist. Option for that. Take a breath into that, roll back center and rock and roll, or roll over to the side to come up to a seat. If you need a blanket underneath your seat, you could elevate your seat. And let's work for a couple of twists. So your left hip pulls back into the socket and the right hip pulls forwards. And then switch and notice which way your torso naturally wants to twist as you pull your left hip in, your right hip forwards, and then you pull your right hip forwards, your left hip, or your right hip back, your left hip forwards. It's almost like you're walking on your sit bones. You can use your arms even to support you into the twist. The hip that pulls back, for many of us, we're going to want to turn in that direction. You could explore different ways of doing this, of course. And then after that, if it's challenging to keep your legs straight, you might put a block underneath your knees, or you could practice pulling up on your kneecaps and having your fingertips touch the floor, lengthening through the back of the body. And then let's play with that lift of the chest. Front of the armpits lift, top of the chest lifts, and then that chin sliding forwards and down. And pause if you like the breath. You might even imagine spreading through your ribs, through each rib area. And you might be breathing in this lifted position. If you're pausing the breath as you're ready, you can lift the head a little bit and exhale all the breath out. Now let's see how it would feel to tip the pelvis forwards over the femur bones. So instead of rounding forwards, which could be a lovely exploration of the back and the spine, you could do that. You could also tip the pelvis forwards, keeping as neutral as the spine as you can, and reach your hands as far as you can down your legs. Some of you might be able to grab your big toes or your outer feet with your hands, or have your hands on your shins. Then again, let's try the lifted chest. Heart comes up, brain slides forwards and down towards the chest. And then maybe if you're pausing the breath, you can explore lifting the pelvic floor, drawing the lower abdomen back and up, and pausing for 3, 2, 1. And exhale everything there. So option here to go to the next position, or you can move your prop out, cross out through your shins, roll over your shins, roll over the outer parts of your feet. Step or hop back, lower to chaturanga or to the floor. Arc into cobra or up dog, and tuck the chin. Roll back to down dog, step or hop through for the next side. So come on through. Let's go left leg long, right leg comes in, and then left hip forwards. So we're in Janu Shirshasana. The knee drops out to the side. So right hip comes forwards, left hip comes back. Remember that twist. And you might reach your right arm behind you, take your fingertips behind you, or even thread your hand behind your back and see if you can clasp your inner thigh. So all those options available. Take a breath in, exhale, twist your spine. Take a breath in and then lean the left side of your torso over your left leg and take a side stretch over your left leg. Take a breath there. For some of you, you might choose to stay more upright in the side stretch, or lower your outer shoulder towards the inner knee and flip your hand, take the inner part of your foot, and let your right arm can come around to the outer part of your foot. Let's inhale all the way up, and then we'll turn belly button towards the straight leg and forward fold. So option to forward fold with your hands on the sides. Maybe for some of you, even take your right hand across to clasp around the outer shin or outer foot. And left hand can push into the floor, rotating you more. And as you forward fold, you might even take your head towards your leg, or even your right temple towards your leg for a breath. And we'll come on up from that. And then we'll find our Dandasana shape. So maybe the blanket is underneath your hips, your fingertips or your hands come down to the ground. Let's inhale the breath, lift the chest, lift the spaces in between the ribs if that's available to you. Heart lifts, chin slides forwards and down, pause. Exhale. Again, all of that is optional. Then you might tip the pelvis forwards. You could explore rounding. You could explore tipping, maybe reaching somewhere on your leg, maybe your foot. And you could also explore taking your toes towards your body and inhaling a lift. Lift the chest, lift the armpits if you like, and then chin forwards and down. Heart says welcome, brain says thank you. Eyes might sink back, maybe lifting the pelvic floor, maybe sucking the lower belly back and up and encouraging more length as you pause. As you're ready, exhale and release. Let's try for the other side. So either switching sides or you could cross your shins. You could even lift the whole body up by placing the hands down, roll over the feet. Chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, downward facing dog, and come on through. For the other side, right leg long, left leg in. Prop yourself as you like. Right hip forwards, left hip back, twisting to the back. Take a breath in and out. Side bending over your right leg, right side lowers. Maybe you stay more upright, or maybe your shoulder comes down and you clasp the inner and the outer foot. Come on up from that. And then we'll turn. Your right hip might pull back. Belly button spins more forwards. Forward fold any amount. Or maybe for some of you, left hand comes to the outside of that right leg and your right hand can push you more, a little more into the twist if you like. You can fold with your gaze turning out to the right. Maybe the temple to the shin. Come on forwards, Dandasana. So with this position of the legs, lift the back, lift the sides, lift the front of the chest like a hot air balloon's in the chest. Tuck the chin. Pause the breath if you like. As you're ready, exhale. You might explore rounding or tipping, rolling to the front edges of the sitting bones. Taking your hands wherever you like, maybe pulling the toes in towards your shin. Lifting the chest, the armpits. Maybe you're holding your breath, you're keeping the breath going in this lifted upright spine. Tucking the chin. Maybe there's a pelvic floor lift, a lower belly drawing back and up. And is it possible to still root your sit bones down? As you're ready, exhale, or maybe you continue to breathe there. And release your legs. You could cross, lift up, roll over. Totally optional. Lower to Chaturanga, upward dog. Downward facing dog. Come on through to your back. And we were holding our breath on the inhale. So if the breath holding doesn't work for you, you can work your bridges and keep your breath fluidly moving, your own breath. We could try an exhale retention with the bridge. So if you like, roll up into your bridge, maybe rolling your shoulders underneath you and interlocking your hands. arcing your upper back and then seeing if you can keep your lower back fairly neutral. Maybe even tucking the tailbone and see how that feels. Or softening those front ribs in and see how that feels, lifting into more of the top ribs, the armpit area. Either staying here for your breaths, using the legs to push the pelvis up, maybe pressing the back of the head down a bit, or breathe into the top of the breath. Feel that lift of the chest, the armpits, and then exhale all the breath out and explore holding the breath out and then finding those lifts with the exhale retention. So the pelvic floor lift, maybe even that sucking of the belly back and up. Release more of an exhale out as you're ready. Inhale, and then you can open your arms and lower your spine down. Could do that segmentally. Let your knees fall one way, maybe the other. You could do that a couple times, that's an option. Or perhaps you draw them in towards your chest. We could try that one more time. You could do that in a bridge, or if you like, you could flip your hands, come up onto the top of your head. See if you can keep your low back a little more neutral and arc into your upper spine. Or perhaps you can take those front ribs into the abdomen as you come up, exploring your wheel. Maybe big breath in, full breath out. And then exhale, retention, draw the pelvic floor up, sucking the belly back and up. Exhale, a little more, inhale. And roll on down, tucking your chin. Coming on out. If that gave you freedom, you could do it again. Drop your knees side to side. And we'll hug the knees in. And you can roll to one side or maybe rock and roll up to a seat. Walk the sit bones back. Feel free to blanket yourself. Dandasana. Lift the chest if you like. Heart lifts. Brain drops down. Heart says welcome. Brain says thank you. Maybe pausing the breath. As you're ready, exhale. And you can explore that rounding that might feel lovely through the spine, or that tipping of the pelvis forwards, maybe even doing that's walking on your pelvis as you pull your hips back. You could find your shins or your toes. Lift, lift, lift if you like. Tuck the chin, the Jalandhara Bandha in the neck. Maybe the pelvic floor lift, the lower belly lift, and the sit bones heavy. As you're ready, exhale. And as you exhale, invitation is to fold a little further into your forward fold. For 1, 2, and 3. As you're ready, coming up, and you can either lie down or maybe sit upright in a seat. You could also have an opportunity to explore a half lotus maybe, or if you like a full lotus position, not for everybody's hips. Comfortable cross-legged, maybe kneeling. And whether you're lying down or sitting up, we could explore the breath a little here. So invitation is to inhale your breath. Pause for 1. Maybe lift the chest, drop the chin. 2, 3, and exhale the breath. Inhale the breath. You could find that lift, that spreading of the lungs. Slide the chin forwards and down for 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Head might come back up. Last one. Inhale all the way to the top. Brain slides forwards and down. Maybe pausing for 1, 2, 3, and exhale. And then rest in this container that you've created for yourself. Notice the residue of your practice. You might explore breathing more fully into the abdomen. You might explore the points of contact with the ground and giving them more weight. Acknowledging your connection to the land, the people that steward the land, that the complex history of the land, and how the land nourishes you. You might take a moment here to thank your body and your body's timing and your body's process. I want to invite you to stay here for as long as you need, as long as you have time for. May you have peace.